Hey everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Daydream Nation, and I've got Peter Wicks back to the channel. How are you, Wicksy?
I'm doing fine, mate. It's a Monday evening, isn't it? It's holiday season, so you lose track of the days.
Absolutely, and G Time flies. It's our annual doing a best of show.
No.
We've done this a few times, so we're going to do a bit of a show on the best of 2024, talking albums, concerts, songs. Just throwing it in the pot and just having a bit of a yarn. Where did the time go? This year
I know.
has gone so quick, hasn't it?
Like in the blink of an eye. Blink, it's all gone.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as you know, Pete's part of the Aussie Wrecking Crew. We do a lot of shows this year talking about Aussie music. And the format of today's show is just rattling off our favourite albums and songs. So I think we'll start off with albums. So, Pete, I believe you've got 5. I've got 5. What I might do is I'll rattle off quickly some honourable mentions, and then we'll take it in turns, say 5 to 1. And we'll take it from there. So I think it's been a pretty good year for music. There's been a lot of bands that have had comebacks. Been a long time between drinks. Deep Purple, the Jesus and Mary Chain, The Cure, first album in 18 years. And there's been some really strong efforts. So these are 3, quick fire honourable mentions. So the Jesus and Mary Chain, this is Glasgow Eyes. This came out a couple of months ago. First album in 7 years since Damage and Joy of 2017. Jim and William Reid, they're like the Warring Gallagher brothers, hate each other, hate love, but boy, have they put together some glorious noise and some wonderful records. While this may not be the greatest masterpiece, it's a pretty damn fine album. It's got that dark distortion. The feedback's there, but the band's getting their groove on, and there's a lot of dance beats and electronica. So it's a fine comeback, and one I do recommend. So that's one of my honourable mentions. Next one is one of your favourites, and this is Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Wild God. So this is a very haunting, spiritual gospel rock. Nick's gone through some family tragedies. It's all on record. I won't go into it. But he's playing the role of the rock and roll preacher. And a lot of this music is very gospel, very spiritual, a little bit bombastic, but in a really good, uplifting way. It's transcendental. I like it a lot. And I definitely would recommend that as one of my honorable mentions. And finally, my last honorable mention is, it's a bit blurry, Jack White, and this is called No Name. So this is a hooky, riff-tastic album. He's gone in a bit more of a stripped-back classic rock feel, Pete. So I'm listening to it, and I hear a lot of AC/DC, a lot of Zeppelin. It's stripped down and lean, and I might be talking about him later in the show when we talk about concerts, because he just did a recent run of dates up and down the country. So that's my honourable mentions. So, Pete, why don't we do the top 5, and we'll take it in turns 5 to 1. So hit me with your number 5.
Well, but before I do, I'll just add, I don't know if you saw Jesus and Mary Chain when they were out. Glasgow Eyes, it's not a bad album. It's not up there with Honey's Dead or anything like that. But, yeah, I get the feeling that would play off well live, that album. Probably more so than the album itself, but they were fantastic when I saw them a couple of years ago, and yeah, they've still got it.
Yeah, they have. And one thing I didn't say, it's got a lot of dark humour. There's a lot of sharp humour in their album, and that's what I like about it. People think they're kind of shoegazy and a little bit gloomy and depressing, but you read the lyrics, and there's a little bit of punch to it, a little bit of tongue in cheek.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, top 5 albums. Well, I was going to start off with one that you've already mentioned, Jack White, No Name. The guy's just a genius. Like he does take it back to as you say, like old riff style music, but it still sounds fresh. And he's just a master of everything he does, really. I haven't had the album long, but it's got me from day one. It's totally hooked me in. So that's what I'm saying is putting my vote for number 5. Jack White, no name.
Yeah. Did you get the AC/DC bit in it?
Definitely in the riff. There's a bit of that Malcolm Young rhythm. It's definitely
and it's a bit more stripped back. So I mean, you got that blues, the Southern blues that he loves so well in the White Stripes, but to me, it's going in a more of it's even, dare I say, a bit of a hard rock direction.
Yeah, and if you were going to compare it to White Stripes, it'd be pre-Elephant days. It goes back. You're not going to get the gloss of like Iggy Thump or anything like that. The polished, it's raw and I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm glad he's out there and he's just doing the do, and I think he's one of the last true rock stars.
Yeah,
and God bless him. He's preaching the word of rock and roll. Yeah, he's a legend.
All right, for the bare minimum of instrumentation, like it just
he's the real deal. He is the real deal.
Absolutely.
All right, my next one is Black Country Communion with 5. So this is the hard rock supergroup featuring Glenn Hughes, Joe Bonamassa, Jason Bonham, Derek Sherinian. Yeah, I think it plays like a love child of Deep Purple Mark IV, Come Taste the Band, with a little bit of later period Led Zeppelin, In Through the Outdoor, Coda, the best bits of those albums. It's got a lot of melodic twists, but there's a lot of funk and there's a lot of groove. And boy, Jason Bonham, chip off the old block. It's that
I haven't heard
the thundering bass drum. You wouldn't have heard the album because the album has been so low key. It's like it just got dropped. It got released. No real marketing push. It should have been sort of marketed all around the world and should have been a blockbuster because it is a great album.
Definitely.
Absolutely. It's partly a blast from the past. It's very classic rock, but at the same time, it sounds contemporary. But yeah, it's a shame that this album is so low key in respect of the way it's been dispatched to the public that hardly anybody know about it. But anyway, Black Country Communion. It's called 5, and it actually is my number 5.
I wonder why it was so low key. Just
don't know. And it's very hard to get all the folks in the same room because Glenn Hughes, I did a meet and greet with him when he came to Australia, and one person said, when are they coming out? And he goes, just got to get everyone in the same room because they're all around the world. They'll be doing some dates next year, I think, on one of those rock and roll Caribbean cruises. But, man, come to Australia, do something. It's a killer album. If you love your classic rock and you love a bit of Zepp, bit of Deep Purple, this is the one for you.
Definitely have to check that out.
What's your number 4?
All right. Speaking of, this will be a blast from the past for many, but a guy by the name of Jerry Cantrell. So, Jerry Cantrell, I Want Blood, it's called. I don't know if you've heard this. Jerry Cantrell is, you would know from Alice in Chains, and he's put out a few solo albums. This is certainly up there with the better of his solo albums, and yeah, it still has a very it still has a slightly more bluesy feel than what you get from Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains was far more thud and grunge. Jerry's a bit more laid back, but the vocals, it's I mean, obviously Lane was the lead vocalist in Alice in Chains, but you can hear in Jerry's voice, you can hear how the harmonies worked so well for Alice in Chains. But it's called I Want Blood. It's a fantastic album. If you like Alice in Chains, you're pretty much guaranteed to love it.
Good stuff. I think I'm familiar that an album has gone out this year, but look, I like Alice in Chains, and I will definitely investigate that one. No, that's a good pick. My next album at number 4 is The Cure, Songs of a Lost World. So this was their first album in 18 years. I'm doing a special standalone show with Todd Evans, and that'll drop pretty soon, maybe in a week or two, where we do a song by song and a bit more of an in-depth review. But I think it's a wonderful album. It's worth the wait. It's an album that probably rewards a bit of patience, at least for me, because when I first heard it, I didn't like it. But repeat listens, it rewards the listener. A lot of the songs take their time to get going. A lot of the songs are like average 6 to 7 minutes, and it's about halfway through the song where the vocals actually come in. So there are a lot of intros. Kind of harkens back to a little bit of the old Cure. There's some Disintegration, and there's also that era of Bloodflowers later period.
Awesome.
It's got delicate moments and also bombastic. There's a song called Drone No Drone, which is like industrial. Reminds me of Nine Inch Nails, but sounds more contemporary. And another one called War Song, where Robert Smith is talking social observation about what the climate of the world and the warmongers. But at its heart, it's all about personal issues, and Robert loves talking about broken-hearted relationships, love gone wrong, unrequited, looking back in time. He's talking about the aging process and, what is my future? There's a lot of questions. So it's a deep album. It requires a bit of a listen. Sonically, the band are on fire. I think it's a really worthy, top 4 album of the year, and well worth the 18 years. And he's going to put out another album out next year. So after a long period of nothing.
What, as The Cure or solo?
As The Cure.
Oh.
Another thing is he's written all the music. So normally a Cure album is a collaboration with the band, but in this one, it's just him. But look, it's long overdue. Come out to Australia, Robert.
Been
I'd
a
love
long
to see you.
18 years.
Yeah. Do you like The Cure?
Oh, I love The Cure.
Yeah,
fantastic. And it's funny you mentioned the one song that sounds like Nine Inch Nails. I remember Trent Reznor saying that a lot of the beats and the drum stuff he came from pornography, not the album Pornography I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So and you can hear it in a lot of the Nine Inch Nails. In the way they mix the beats. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. What's your next pick?
My next pick, another Aussie band, band who I mention all the time, the Hard-Ons. So the Hard-Ons have a new one out called "I Like You a Lot, Getting Older." So I don't think it's as good as the previous Ripper album. However, it's still a fantastic album. If you've ever seen the Hard-Ons or have ever listened to their stuff, they're just a high energy band. So everything comes at you. Everything's full on. And I think Tim Rogers, as a vocalist, has given these guys a shot in the arm. It's like giving them a shot of adrenaline. It's like you get the feeling that he's singing for a band that he's always loved, and he's seeing this as almost like a tick off the bucket list. I'd love to sing with those guys, and now he's doing it, and you can just feel the enthusiasm. It just comes out. But so if you're after something that's fast, edgy, and in your face, then the Hard-Ons, you can't go wrong with it. Brilliant album.
Did see them support the Damned, and it was quite unusual to see Tim singing lead. So I'm not quite sure whether he looks comfortable, but that's just my perspective. But I haven't heard this album. I got their first one. Excuse me, sir, that riff has been taken. Their first album.
I'm sorry, all this riff's been taken.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. The jury's a little bit out about, in my perspective, with Tim fronting the Hard-Ons. But look, I appreciate your opinion, and I will give that one a listen. All right, mate. This year has been the year of some mighty fine prog albums, and prog is not a genre of music that I sort of feel comfortable with. But there's been some outstanding metal prog. And this particular band, it was recommended on the Sea of Tranquility on the review crew, which I was a part of. Red Eye Records, I saw it there, I picked it up, I put it in the car, and I went, what the hell is this? This is just batshit crazy. It is a mixture of death metal, so think Morbid Angel, death, a little bit of Bathory with prog and electronica. Right. Seriously, it is the weirdest, it's the most batshit crazy album of the year. It's called Blood Incantation, absolute elsewhere. It's an absolute killer album. A lot of it I still don't understand, but sonically, I love it. It is so good. This band's been around since 2011. The lead singer is Paul Reed, Jeff Barrett on bass, Isaac Falk on drums, lead guitarist Colin Trisky, I think. I don't know. I might have the pronunciations wrong. You know, there's some moments where, you know, there's a lot of light and shade. It's got the gravelly, gnarly vocals. So it's the you know, sort of the death metal vocals.
Yeah.
But the musicology is just so powerful, you know, it's just right in your face. But there's moments, there's light and shade. There's moments that, you know, you think, what am I listening to? Is this Tangerine Dream? Then there's another moment in the in a particular song where it sounds like Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here.
Good.
So, Pete, I think I really, really would encourage you to pick up this album. The album's only got 2 songs. Side 1 called the Stargate, which goes for 20 minutes and 20 seconds, and side 2, the Message 2323. It's my number 3. It's right up your alley, mate.
Oh, I'll have to check that out. 2 songs. That is.
Yeah, but it works like a symphony. It works like a suite.
Yeah,
and you know, it's batshit crazy. There's some moments that you think that it's the dogs from hell going into war, and then you've got the real gnarly vocals, and it's just full on speed, fresh metal. And then there's moments it's like, and the guy actually sings vocally, melodically. Wow. And, you know, it sort of oscillates between these 2 extremes, but it's wonderful. So that's the album, Blood Incantation, absolute elsewhere. I mean, this band's been around since 2011, but I think this is the breakthrough album, and it's getting a lot of rave reviews in a lot of top, you know, folks' top 50 list of the 2024. So do yourself a favor and check it out. I think you'd really groove on this one.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely check that out. Yeah. All right. My next one is a band that I think I've spoken about them before. DAD. I don't know if you remember DAD, but they're still kicking some butt, these guys. I don't know how long they've been around for. I think it's well and truly over 30 years. But their album this year is called The Speed of Darkness, and it's a new record label, and they're coming out swinging still. Great album, if you like. The DAD have always been a bit different to the average metal band. To me, I can almost hear a little bit of country swagger in a lot of what they do. But like, don't go expecting Garth Brooks or anything like that. They're definitely a hard rock band. But there's just a little bit of a country twang to some of their stuff. But it's a fantastic album, and yeah, I highly recommend it. They're coming out on tour again this year, no, next year. Sorry, next year's only a couple of days away. They're coming out next year with the Greatest Hits tour, and I was lucky enough to see their last tour, and they just absolutely rocked. Fantastic. Like, they were a band that when I saw them, I thought they're a good band. But after seeing them, they just went drastically up in my books. They're just fantastic. Really good sound. I didn't realise until I saw them how good musicians they are.
Yeah, I saw them in the day. I saw them in 1986. Disneyland After Dark,
Yeah.
DAD. The Pilgrim album.
No Fuel Left for the Pilgrims, yeah.
That one, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Sort of AC/DC, meat and potatoes rock.
It's funny. Yeah, I thought some of their songs, some of the like Rim of Hell and whatnot, had a definite AC/DC feel. But now when I go back and listen to it, I think, oh, they don't really. It's but at first listen, yeah, they that's what I thought at the time. But yeah,
Yeah, cool. I will try to see them. I think they're touring March, April. They're
yeah,
doing a Sydney date. So,
yeah.
yeah, we might do a live
Well worth
review.
it. Like they full on take the Mickey out of themselves, and they're
Yep,
very very good. Yeah.
absolutely. All right. My number two, this is a little bit of a tough one because at one stage I was thinking this is going to be my number one, but I'll make it the number two. And this is Deep Purple equals one. I'll put the photo up so it looks a little bit better than what I've shown. It just goes, this is the 23rd studio album. They've got a new guitarist, Simon McBride, and I tell you what, they've got an injection of a new energy about them. You know, great melodies, good riffs, and it's a wonderful album. I did an extensive show with Peter Jones and Reed Little around about July, one of my favorite shows on Rock Daydream Nation, and we did a song by song analysis. And I love this album. You know, it's got the heaviness, aggression of like songs like "Show Me," "Pictures of You," which is kind of like got the romantic whimsy, "Lazy Sod," hooky riffs and a bit of groove with Ian Pace. And you know, Ian Gillan, he's like 78 or 79, but his topics, he's kind of unfiltered. He talks about sex and rock and roll, and it's like he's got that 18-year-old energy back, in his bones. Even though his voice is a little bit fragile, and the upper range, you can hear it's a little bit not where it used to be, but it still works, and it gives it a little bit of charm. And the band they're just firing. They're just grooving and they're firing. And it's a band that's just enjoying themselves, and they've got a lot of fuel left in the tank. So equals one. That's my number two. I just think it's their best album since Perfect Strangers in 1984. And that's saying something because the Steve Morse era of Deep Purple was mighty fine. But I just think this is such a strong album. And check out the show I did with Pete and Reed. We do a big, deep analysis of the album, but I love it, and it's my number two.
Well, there you go. I'll have to check that one out. It's, Perfect Strangers was a great album.
Yeah.
It was I saw that tour, the Perfect Strangers tour. It was the old entertainment centre. But yeah, great. I'll definitely check that one out. Yeah. All right. My top album for the year. It goes to yet another Aussie band, a band by the name of Amyl and the Sniffers. And the album's called Cartoon Darkness. Assuming you probably heard this one, Pete.
I've got it.
Yeah. As with anything Amyl and the Sniffers, it hits you in the face right from the first track.
Indeed. Yes. Folks, play it and you'll understand what we're talking about.
Yeah. Or even better, watch the clip, the video clip. The video. I don't know if you've seen the clip.
Maybe not.
No. Yeah. But anyway, fantastic band. Yeah, it's this album's. It must have been a tough one for them because they've got to a certain point and they've become sort of like local legends, and they're like there's this whole debate: are they punk? Are they hard rock? Are they this? Are they that? They're just a band that loves what they're doing, and this album just kicks it right from the start. Yeah, so Jerkin. My other favourite track on there, Jerkin, which is the first track, and You Should Not Be Doing That is another great track. But interestingly enough, on this album, I thought was kind of gutsy, is they actually did a slower. There's a couple of slower bits on this, so not everything's 100 mile an hour and straight in you. You know, not everything's a punch in the throat. It's so big dreams, and they do the slower numbers, and it works for them. It still works. They pull it off.
It does, because she actually sings on a couple of numbers. So
yeah,
painting a little bit more of a different picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Who knew there was more than one side to them? But fantastic band live. I'm spewing. I missed them when they did a gig down here. It was a charity gig for the Asylum Resource Centre, and it was $10. $10, and it just went like that. You know, you had no chance of getting a ticket. $10 at the Croxton Band Room, and it was would have loved to have seen that. That was pretty much to launch the album. So yeah. But yeah, fantastic album and fantastic band to see if you ever get the chance.
Yeah, look, I probably don't like this album as much as their other two. I think that some of the riffage, you can tell that they're recycling. Like, I'm listening to some of the riffs of some of the songs and I'm going, that sounds like it's the last album. I don't know. Yeah, they're sort of copying themselves, but on the other hand, I like that she's starting to sing, and you know, it works well. And she kind of sings a little bit like Courtney Love.
Yeah, there's been a lot of comparisons with her.
Yeah.
I forgot what she describes herself as. She describes herself as that's right. She describes herself as a cross, but as the love child of Dolly Parton and Angry Anderson.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a big fan of Jerkin. I don't think that's a great song.
Oh, I love that song.
I look at it's in your face, but it's a bit crass. But you should not be doing that. It's just killer. It really is.
That is an excellent.
I love the horns. It reminds me of the Saints.
Yeah.
Know your product. Hunters and collectors. Yeah, I just think that in some ways they're going 2 steps forward with their sound, and she's singing and they're exploring. And there's even a little bit of reggae, a little bit of funk. But on the other hand, there's some songs where it feels like they're recycling some of their riffs, and it's just a little bit, the same old, same old.
Yeah. Well, I see where you're coming from, but it's...
Yeah. I mean, Jerkin is... I get where they're coming from. It's shock value. But, I mean, otherwise, I don't think they can do a Jerkin 2 in their next album and use the C word and the F word. And I think it's going to lose its shock value. So it's going to come to a point that the use of colourful language is going to lose its shock value. But don't get me wrong, I still think they're the best live band in Australia, bar none. I love them, but I just would like to see a little bit more from them. You know what I mean? And I think this album it's a bit of a mixed bag, as I said. Some I really like, and I think they're moving forward, but some it's like, it's a bit of a rehash.
Yeah.
A bit mixed.
Oh, there you go.
Very good. So my number one is another progressive metal band. And this is an Australian band called Caligula's Horse, and this is called Charcoal Grace. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No.
But they've been around for, I think, close to 10 years. But this album is absolutely magnificent. It's dense, it's rich, melodic. It's just got some really bone-crushing speed metal rhythms. Lots of time signature changes. But it's got great singing. Jim Gray is the vocalist. Right. And this band is really making some inroads on the world stage. Yeah. It's just so full on. They call it prog metal, and I think you'd really like that. So there you go. Who would have thunk? In my top 5, I've got 2 prog metal albums.
Wow. And then they're nothing to do with Caligula.
No, it's called Caligula's Horse. Yeah. There was a band called Caligula, but and it's called Charcoal Grace, and it is definitely worth investigating. If you like double kick drum, just machine gun in your face, this is the band for you. So it's been a good year for Australian rock and a good year for prog metal.
Good year for Australian rock, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Have you got any songs of the year that you'd like to nominate?
I do. I've got two. One, another Australian artist, Briggs, who I've mentioned quite a bit. He's got a song out called Manara, which is Indigenous, so it's the Yorta Yorta word for thunder. And it's Briggs is known for his rap, but this is full-on hard rock. This is think Rage Against the Machine. He recorded it with a band called Sprout, who I don't know that much about, but I gather they're a hardcore band from the US. They did all the instrumentation and whatnot. But it's just a really good, raise your fist and get in it. It's just a great song. It's Anyway, I think a lot of what Briggs does is excellent, but this is different for him, and it's and there's rumours that there's an album in the works which is going to be along the same lines, which would be fantastic.
Good stuff. I think I want to showcase You Should Not Be Doing That. That's probably my favourite song of the year. I just love that song by Amel and the Sniffers. So it's just so cheeky. I think it's easily the best song on that album. And I just love the horns. It's got the Hunters and Collectors or the Saints. And it's just got so much attitude. And the film clip is just so...
it's so Kerr, isn't it?
Yeah, just so cheeky, exuberant, charismatic. I love it. So that's my song of the year.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, that is a good choice.
Yeah.
My song of the year, speaking of Rage Against the Machine, this was described by Tom Morello as the most Rage Against the Machine song that came out this year. And it's by a guy called Macklemore. And it's High and Tall. I don't know if you heard that one, but it was basically done as a fundraiser for UNRWA, which is, of course, the aid for Palestine, the Palestinians, for Gazans. And it was about the student protests that were protesting the genocide going on in Gaza at the moment. So, yeah, that's my song of the year, and all the funds from that go to UNRWA.
Okay. Alrighty. A couple of shout-outs for some reissues. So Richard Clapton, we've spoken about him in the Aussie Wrecking Crew. This is Richard Clapton and Prussian Blue. This was his first album. Warner Brothers have reissued all the first couple of albums of Richard Clapton. They sound sparkly. They sound new. He is such an underrated singer-songwriter. He should be right up there in the discussions if you're going to be talking about your, Nick Caves, your Paul Kellys. Richard Clapton should be right up there, Neil Finn's, whatever. This is the first album, Prussian Blue, and it's really fantastic singing, songwriting, well-crafted, and you could tell that he was something special. So Prussian Blue. But there's a lot of other albums that they've reissued. Goodbye Tiger, I recommend.
Are they remastered or?
They're remastered. So the whole back catalogue, about 6 or 7 of Richard Clapton's albums, all on Warner Brothers, they've reissued and remastered, and do yourself a favour. But I've never seen this. I've got most of his albums, but I hadn't had this one, and definitely Prussian Blue is just worth getting. And this mother, the Saints, I'm Stranded. This is a box set. So this is the classic album remastered for the first time. Also includes a live concert of the Paddo Town Hall, which they did as a double bill with Radio Birdman. The mind explodes what that would have been like. and live in London. And there's also the 1976 remix of I'm Stranded. And it's just beautifully crafted. You open it up and it's got,
Yep.
photos, an essay,
wow,
a sticker, all albums, and then you've got this wonderful, book.
Yeah, cool.
All the different photos in the day, newspaper clippings. It's just, there's so many great Australian albums in the vault, Pete, that are just sitting, collecting dust. Bands like Skyhooks. I know Skyhooks are living in the 70s is going to get a reissue in January, but there's so many other brilliant acts that are sitting in the coffers, and they should get the reissue that the Saints have got. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
That's particularly good. Is that a limited edition one? Like, is it a numbered one or something? Or
yeah, it's limited edition. You can get it, but I'm sure that you'll see the Saints I'm Stranded in circulation. Look, previously, I'm Stranded on vinyl has been pretty hard to get, or CD for that matter. And first pressings of the album go for a pretty penny on Discogs. So I'm just glad that this wonderful album is finally coming out. And it's there. So that's all very good. Pete, let's talk about concerts. So what I will do is I'll rattle off my top 5 and some disappointments. And you're going to talk about a couple that you saw and some disappointments that didn't turn up. So
2 is that I think we've missed out on.
Yeah. So in no particular order, British Lion, which was Steve Harris's band. I saw Iron Maiden, but I found them a little bit disappointing. They were playing a lot of material off their last album, and also Somewhere in Time, and there was just something a little bit off. I think Nico McBrain, and I don't think his playing was as sharp as it should have been or as normally, and I don't know, I just didn't like I didn't groove on the set list, and I thought that they were a little bit disappointing. I've seen Iron Maiden quite a few times, but this time I just thought that they weren't up to the standard that I had seen them previously.
Yeah.
However, British Lion, which is Steve Harris's side project, and he plays bass, they were great. They played a storm, and that was very entertaining. The Killers, they played at the Acer Arena. They played Hot Fuss. It's a real Las Vegas show, full on lights. They also did a lot of their other material. If you like the big sort of bells and whistles type of show, that was very entertaining. Jack White, I saw him at the Enmore.
I knew you were going to mention that one.
Meat and Potatoes, killer band, in the groove. He's just such a wonderful artist and absolute fantastic live. Just so much energy, and the band behind him were just top notch. So he had the audience in the palm of the hand. This one was a surprise. It was a double bill of Nick Kershaw and Go West. It was one of those revival type things. I went with my wife. She wanted to go. I ended up accidentally buying VIP tickets because they're the only tickets that were left.
Right.
So I ended up being second row. So VIP means you get to meet the band. Okay, that's fine. So I dusted off my old Nick Kershaw albums and met Nick and Go West backstage, and really nice people. And the show was so entertaining. It was really, really good. And some of these revival shows can go either way. They can be kind of cheesy, or, it wasn't cheesy. It was good. It was just, they just played the hit. It just sort of blended in. And it was really, the way the night was presented was really good. It wasn't sort of Nick and then Go West. It was, they would do 2 songs each, and they would alternate, and they'd have a backing band behind them. So it just kept things interesting.
Yeah.
So, you went, so you're sort of investing in the audience on both fan bases,
Yeah.
so to speak. So
Yeah.
that was really, really good.
Interesting way to do it.
The best show of the year was Cold Chisel. Finally got to see them. And, you know, when you see a band playing in front of 15,000 people, cross-generational, and you know 90% of the songs and they're singing along, it was communal. Wonderful. I mean, you know, Barnsley's probably lost a bit of his, you know, he's a bit gravelly, hasn't got that sweet tone that he used to, but Ian Moss sings beautifully and so many great songs. And I finally got to see him. I ticked them off. So that's the concert of the year for me. So that's Cold Chisel. And a couple of disappointments. I saw The Damned. They were a little bit disappointing. They had Rat Scabies back in the band.
Right.
But they seem to be, their timing was really out. I know talking about a punk band and timing is kind of at odd ends, but they were doing stop starts and they were really sloppy, more sloppy. I don't mind that the Damned are kind of a little bit ragged, but this time they were really sloppy and it was noticeable and it was kind of irritating me. So I found that a little bit disappointing. Iron Maiden were disappointing. I think there's one other, but I've forgotten about. I'll throw it over to you. What are your gigs and misses?
Well, gigs, the good gigs are the National. I don't know if anyone out there knows much about the National, but I know you don't think some of their later stuff is that great. But if you've ever seen them live, they're known for being very, very mellow. They're kind of a mellow band, not Coldplay type, but just a mellow, like, but fantastic songwriting and musicianship. But live, the two brothers, like, they just go off, and it's the way they alternate. Like, one will be playing the piano and the other one will be playing the guitar, and then the next song the other one will be playing the piano and the other one will be playing the guitar, and like like playing the guitar, it's like they're wringing the life out of it. Like you see them live and you think, this is not the mellow band that you used to listening to on the CD and having in the background. They're full on in your face, and mind you, they still pull off the mellow as well. They still do that. It's like they intersperse song. Anyway, fantastic and just brilliant musicians. And the drummer is just like you could put him in any sort of hard rock, metal, fast punk band. Like, the guy's just pounding it out. And anyway, great band. So if you get a chance to see them live, do it. Good
stuff. Any other live bands you want to?
The other one is and I gather he's toured the States recently, but it's someone you won't have heard of. A guy by the name of Nathan Beretta, and I saw him at the Blues Fest here in Echuca, and the guy's just a hell of a muso. Like, he's a fantastic guitarist, great vocalist. The night I saw him, he shared the stage with another guy called Frank Sultana, who's he's an award-winning blues singer. And the two it was a fantastic night. If you and I've told you, Pete, but anybody else, if you ever get the chance to come to the Winter Blues Fest in Echuca, do so. It's basically there's bands in every pub and on every corner, and it's all free. And you just, when one's finishing in one pub, you just go to the next pub while they're setting up. But anyway, yeah, Nathan Beretta was just fantastic. So he's on Facebook. Check him out. And he's got a couple of records out. But yeah, fantastic. I think we can expect big things from him in the future. But check him out if you see him in town.
Good stuff. And I think you got a couple of gripes about misses.
Well, not so. I both of these bands, I understand why they haven't come out to Australia, but it was their final tour, and I would have liked to have seen them come out to Australia. One is ELO. Now, I mean,
Yes.
how good would that have been to have seen live? Like, we'll never get the chance, but I think he only did. I don't even know if he went to the States. I know he did a couple of gigs in the UK.
They've done the States, and they're going to finish up in June in Hyde Park.
Yeah.
And some spectacular. So
that would be one.
Very tempting to get on a plane with the wife and the kid and fly over there and get out the picnic camper. And
yeah, I mean, Jeff Lynne, what a legend! Like that guy, like absolute legend. So I'm not pissed off that he's not coming or anything like that. Yeah. I understand, but the other one that I understand, but I still would have loved to have seen them out here is Rammstein, and they've I gather Till Lindeman's left now, from what I gather from the rumour tree. But I can understand why they couldn't come out here or why they didn't come out here because they couldn't bring the whole show, I'd imagine, because their show is I think it's 120 trucks loads of equipment, and just the sheer extravagance of their show. I don't think we'll ever see another band that put on a show like they do. If you haven't seen it, there's a behind the scenes on their Facebook, not their Facebook, their YouTube channel. And it's an hour thing that goes into the whole behind the scenes, and it is quite a spectacle what they put on. And they are, as far as big bands go, like there was Alice Cooper that put on the big show, and then there was Kiss, and anyway, Rammstein's the one at the moment, and it's gone, and we missed it.
All right. While we're on that tangent, Michael Schenker, please come to Australia, please. Yeah. He puts on these posts that, I'm going to Tokyo, and then I put Australia, and then he gives the thumbs up. And I go, it's just being nice, but come on.
Yeah.
You can go to Tokyo. You can we're on the same, the world. Just go down.
Exactly. If you're going to Tokyo, this is the next step.
Yeah, I understand the economics. I understand he'd probably be playing a theatre like the Enmore Theatre and the Astor in Perth and whatever's in Melbourne. But I'd love to see him.
Actually,
he's never been to Australia. Michael Schenker, please.
Well, actually, while we're on gripes about concerts, Spoon. It's like, don't come out here as a support act. We want to see you. Like you just put out an awesome album, and then you tour with the war on drugs. It's like, hello, you're a headline band. Come out as a headline band. Like every show I've seen, and I've seen a few of their shows where they've headlined, and they're fantastic. Like one of the best bands, and it was
exactly
wanting to see them come out as a support act.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, well, mate, I think we've covered it all. Been a big year for Rock Daydream Nation, hasn't it, buddy?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, what were your best or your favourite bits? Your favourite shows, favourite interviews?
Yeah. Oh, gee, there's been so many. I think on the interview side, Angry Anderson, I've spent close to 4 to 5 hours just talking with him. He's an absolute legend. He's sharp, witty. He's a raconteur, got so many stories, and I will be putting out a in-depth interview with him shortly talking about Rose Tattoo and the origin of Rose Tattoo. He's been a great interview. Bob Daisley at the start of this year, who was the actual songwriter for Ozzy Osbourne, he was great to talk to. John Sinclair, keyboardist for Uriah Heep, who happened to play on the original Spinal Tap soundtrack, and he was a lot of fun to talk to. But John Corabi, that one's gone pretty well viral lately, and you just ask the question, you sit back, you let him talk, and he was just an interviewer's dream, and he was just very frank and honest and authentic about his time in Motley Crue and all his other bands. Doug Aldridge, he was a great interview. In respect to shows, I think my favourite shows, and there's been so many, the Motley Crue one that I did with the panel of Melissa Nee, Michael Adano, and Joe B was good. The decline of Western civilization was absolute cracker, and that got a lot of heat, especially when one of the interviewees on that movie surfaced up and started trolling us.
Really?
and so, yeah. So, yeah, absolutely.
Who was that did that?
Oh, I think it was Steve Rochelle from Tough. He was, and he missed the point because we weren't actually bagging the musicians. We were actually being critical about the filmmaker about exploiting the musicians. So I think there was a little bit of misunderstanding. We weren't knocking the music. Well, I wasn't, and I know a lot of the other folk weren't. No. But that was a very controversial show, but that got a lot of hits. And just doing the Deep Purple series with Peter Jones, Reed Little with Black Sabbath, Rating, ZZ Top, so many different panelists. Just had a ball, and the Aussie Wrecking Crew. So it's just, I'm a real passionate follower of Australian music, and I find that a bit of it tonight. Yeah, absolutely. I just find a lot of YouTube channels, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, don't really talk about Aussie music. And when I'm on their shows, as soon as you mention the Angels or Spy versus Spy Midnight Oil, their eyes glaze, and they don't know what. I just love to talk about Aussie music and get people to discover it and dig it. And it's just a wealth of so much good music. And as I said, it's just the music that people on other channels don't really talk about, and we do. And it's just an all Australian panel, and I think it's just it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, Pete, I have to thank you for your contributions to the channel. We'll be doing a lot more in 2025, Aussie Wrecking Crew, and you'll see Pete on some other shows on different topics. I think we were going to do one about concerts, that our favorite concerts. That as a topic, I'll drag that out.
Favorite bands we've seen in concert.
Yeah, absolutely. Experiences. Yeah, maybe do a review on our favorite blended scotches. I don't know.
Single malts for me, mate. Single malts.
Single malt. Favorite beer. I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, have a great 2024, wonderful 2025. Oh, have a great New Year's Eve, Pete, and all the best for 2025. We'll see you on the channel. Tell us what your favorite songs, albums, reissues, the whole lot has been in 2024. We love reading your comments. But one thing's for sure, you'll see me and Pete doing more shows on Rock Daydream Nation 2025. Cheers and all the best. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.